Real-time crime centers have become a cornerstone of modern policing, helping agencies connect information faster, improve coordination, and make smarter decisions when seconds matter most. But building or refreshing a center can be complex. Constant Technologies helps simplify the process. Constant has partnered with law enforcement agencies across the country to plan, design, and build real-time crime centers, communication centers, drone operation rooms, and emergency operations centers, spaces that are purpose-built to support today's public safety missions. From American-built operator consoles to advanced video wall systems, we focus on the physical environment and technology infrastructure that brings your data and teams together. Our experienced design team works closely with your agency to create layouts and plans that support current operations and future growth. The result is a command environment where video communications and collaboration come together, helping your team move from reactive to proactive policing. Learn more at constanttech.com and schedule a complimentary design consultation. To get started, contact my friend, Lieutenant Sean Arthur, retired from the Collier County Sheriff's Office, at 239-469-4901. Welcome to The Tactical Pause, the official podcast of the Florida Deputy Sheriff's Association. I'm John Creamer, Deputy Executive Director of FDSA. Each episode, I sit down with law enforcement thought leaders to tackle critical issues shaping the future of public safety. Together, we'll explore key topics that empower law enforcement professionals to navigate challenges, lead with confidence, and advance their careers. Take a pause, gain valuable insights, and lead your career with purpose. Thanks for listening. I have a very special guest with us today. It's Sheriff Rosie from the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Rosie was on our podcast last year when she just took office. And for a point of reference, Sheriff Rosie is the first elected sheriff in Miami-Dade County in, so what's 1968 or 66?
66.
66. She's also the first person that looks like her that's ever been elected. So it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So,
That's been really a cool part of this whole process.
Yeah, and from a personal standpoint, the people that don't know you, so you and I are both FBI NA grads, as is your undersheriff, Chris Carruthers. And
Yes.
so there's that. All that means is that Sheriff Rosie and her undersheriff and any other NA grad are just really good professional people that will take the time to talk to you about what's going on in the law enforcement profession. So that's how I know you. We've met several times along the way. And like I said, I was honored to have you last time and honored to have you today.
Thank you so very much. It's my honor as well to be here with you all.
So talk to me, Goose. What's been going on this last year?
Wow. So this year, as hard as I thought the first year was going to be, right, it definitely was more than that. It was way much more difficult. I think probably the biggest surprise that I had in my first year was the fact that how much the office of the sheriff gets to really be involved when it comes to legislature, right, at the state level, and really being able to have an impact in that and how we can protect our communities. I don't know if I didn't see it coming or I didn't realize how impactful that would be in such a key piece. And also, I think it's because it's the first time, right, that we've really had that power in Miami-Dade County. And so I'm absolutely embracing it. But it's also a learning curve for me, right? It's not something that I was doing. So on top of the transition and, changing of my stationery and opening up bank accounts and changing names on buildings and cars, I'm also learning this entirely new aspect of my professional career.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know what you just said. So they're like, oh, the sheriff, whatever, protects law and law and order. It's way bigger than that. And that's why there was such a big push for Amendment 10 back in 2016, 2017, when the Amendment 10 got pushed. And that was the constitutional revision amendment to make all sheriffs in Florida constitutional sheriffs, where your authority comes from the Constitution and not from an appointed board.
Correct.
So, and also for me, I was in Volusia County at the time, and we went through this, but Volusia is a medium-sized agency. You guys are a huge agency. So, and then you also had resistance up until the day you were sworn in, and you probably still have some resistance, don't you?
Yeah. The resistance has definitely extended past my swearing-in date, but that's okay because again, that I understand that people are resistant to change. People they fear what they don't know. But I would tell you that that's been one of the positives of this first year, right? Which is having the opportunity to educate my community on the power of the office of the sheriff.
Right.
That's been great. Still a lot more work to be done there. I mentioned earlier, I said, we've gotten so much done in this first year, but there's so much more to go. Much more to go.
Now, Sheriff, before you got elected, what was the last rank you had? You weren't a commander. Weren't you like a chief or a division chief or something?
Yeah. So the rank title was assistant director, and the way for us, that was, think of it like number 3, right? So the director was the highest position, and then we had a deputy director, and then we had assistant directors.
Okay.
So if that helps in the TL.
It
We're
does.
3,200 sworn deputies and almost 5,000 employees total. We're an
Huge.
Extremely large agency.
And what's your annual budget, roughly?
Just under $1 billion.
Just under $1 billion with a B.
Yeah. With a
That's,
B.
yeah, it's staggering. So going back to your point about politics, so in your last role before Amendment 10 kicked in and before you got elected, the whole political realm was different, right? It was more local, or maybe the director or the city or county manager would do most of that, and you would maybe have internal politics about funding within the organization?
So we have our current government here is a strong mayor's position, and that runs the county. We were one of 30 departments underneath the county. So I want you to think about that. We may have had a legislative priority, right? Let's just call it, traffic law. We wanted something done in traffic, maybe micromobility. That's a big one right now, right? Electric scooters and bikes and so forth. So we submitted as one of 30 departments to the county attorney, who then decided what was going to be lobbied or pushed forth at legislature. We never had a chance. I mean, honestly, I understand that. Don't get me wrong, but that is exactly why Amendment 10 needed to happen, because public safety should be the top priority of every county government.
That's right.
And an elected office of the sheriff allows for that to happen.
That's right. Amen. You just summed up why we have the office of the sheriff.
Yes, absolutely.
So.
I'm so happy, by the way, that we have the office of the sheriff. Now, understanding, though, our community hasn't had one since 1966, right? And even then, probably not a good representation of a good office of the sheriff, since he was arrested for fraud and corruption.
Yeah.
So I get to set the example of what that should look like. And so that is such a huge and important piece for me. Again, another reason why I decided to run for sheriff, right? Because we only get one bite at this apple to get it done right.
That's right. And there's so many cool things about what you're doing. But number one, I know you're a lifelong learner, and whether you wanted to be or not, you are forced into a lifelong learner position now, right? So I would imagine from what I remember, you've been in law enforcement 30 years.
Yes.
And this is a whole new level, and you're being forced to grow outside of your comfort zone, right?
Yes, you could have said it better myself. So I talked a little bit about the fact that, I kind of knew it'd be a tough transition, right? But I felt comfortable because I've been doing the work in the service here when it came to providing public safety for 28 years at the time that I decided to run, right? So that part I felt very strongly about. I knew I had, those skills, but I knew I was going to have to get a brand new set. But I'm going to add to that. I talked a little bit about the office of the sheriff and that power and kind of embracing that, but also the political side. I had never been in an elected office. None of us have almost 5,000 employees. None of us had ever worked underneath that kind of an office structure and political structure. And it is that. So we are learning a lot there. There's a lot of curves to be had. And I always tell people it's not wrong or right. It's just different. It's different. And now, but we need to all be on board, right? We all need, everybody in this agency must get on the elected office of the sheriff train. That is who we are now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and there are some people that along the way have done their time and said, look, I'm good. I'm retiring or I'm moving on. And I always say that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Because every one of us has to have our own journey. But for me, this is a critical part of the culture change. We might still wear that same colored uniform, right? And we still drive those same green and whites. But it is
your badge is different, though.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
5-point star. So a great story there. So our old badge is it was like a blend, right? It had the shield and then it had the star embedded inside of it. So technically, the law just says to need the 5 point star on there. So maybe could have lived, maybe we couldn't. But at the end of the day, I realized one big thing was this: I was so proud of my 5 point star when I got it, and I said, I think the troops need to let me hear from them. So I put out a survey to my entire agency, to all sworn deputies, and asked there, what do you guys want? What would you guys and gals want? Do you want to keep the old badge? We were still going to have to change them, understanding that, that we're still going to have to buy all new badges. So, and it was a resounding 5 point star. And that was great. It was really a moment where you say, yeah, they want the change too. They want to embrace the office of the sheriff.
Yeah. There's an old saying that we are all, it's actually Don Henley in a song says, we are all sheep looking for a shepherd. And so you're the shepherd to this new organization, and everybody is looking at you because, I mean, like you said, since 66, it's been a different way. And now, I mean, you're the change agent, and they're looking at you going, hey, what do we do? Does she like this? What's this feel like? And you giving them a voice, and something as simple as a badge is a big deal.
I know. It wasn't. And additionally, I was able to do something that we had never done in the history of our agency, which is that, we always got our badge that we wear, right? But if you wanted a wallet badge, if you wanted something like, for your off-duty time or whatever, that was something was on you to have to go out and buy it. But I did not do that. I purchased them their off-duties as well, so they never have to worry about that whole change thing, which, by the way, had happened to me, right? Oh, my badge is hanging on my uniform, right? I forgot to put it in my wallet. Something as simple as that, but I thought it was something that I wanted them to know that, there was a lot of pride and honor in that shield. So that was kind of cool.
I remember the first time I pinned on a 5-pointed star, because in Volusia we didn't have that either. It had an eagle on it and a big wreath, and then the 5-pointed star was kind of buried in almost like a circle. And then when Sheriff Chitwood said, hey, we're going to the 5-pointed star, it was a big deal. It was it was something simple, but it was a big gesture. So it was very nice. So that's good. What would you say? So there's been a lot that's going on. There's no way we can cover all of it, even the high level stuff. I mean, you've had some major sporting events. You've had
championship football game.
Yeah, you've had deputy involved shootings. You had a few tragedies. You've had some major crime events. What's that been like for you in this new role?
Yeah. So again, talk about the stuff that as a law enforcement professional, you never ever want to have to deal with in your career. But as the number one of any agency, when you have a deputy killed in the line of duty, it's hard. But for me, it happened that was 10 months, I believe, 10 months in. Yeah. And so unfortunately, with a 30-year career, I have already lived through that in my agency. So fortunately, I had that experience. But I have to tell you, this one definitely hit different, right?
Yeah.
You have to find the courage as a leader to be able to lead your people through that darkest time. It's not just what you're going through, and it's not just what the community is feeling, but you gotta recognize that if you don't uplift your deputies, then they can't go out every day and do what they do. They, especially literally, because we're still doing it either the day that it occurs, the next morning, right? We don't get like, okay, everyone gets a break, go home, get some. No, like we still have to function as an agency. That was hard. I also knew Devin, my deputy's named Devin Jaramillo. His father, David Jaramillo, had done 35 years of service and retired. And so he was a legacy kid, and he came to us through one of the municipalities, and he had such a bright future. There was no doubt in my mind that, this was a kid that was going to grow up and have an amazing career. And so David, his dad, and I met. David was probably one of the very first then Metro-Dade police officers that I met when I came down to South Florida to get on the job. So I worked at a mall, and he worked off duties at the mall, and so we became friends. And because that's how life is, right?
Yeah.
You connect in the things that bond you. So if I tell you that it hit close to home, and it was just it still is a difficult time, because I've got Memorial Month coming up in May, where I'll be going to not just here locally, Tallahassee to DC, and but I will honor him, and I will stand by his family during these difficult times. So.
I know this is painful. I mean, for those of us that have been in the line of duty and you've lost a friend, a coworker, it never leaves you. And just one more thing about this. So not only are you building the legacy of the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, right? That phrase has never been used before either, right? The Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office. You're building the legacy now, tomorrow, and what's a few days behind us and last year. And part of your legacy is this young man and keeping his memory alive. Yeah. And that will be with you always. And that's an honor and a burden. But
yes.
On that note for a second, if somebody wanted to give, I know that they could give to the Florida Deputy Sheriff's Association Lend a Hand Fund, and we would get that to the family. But isn't there an organization down there? What's that organization?
So we have the Police Officers Assistance Trust, POAT, and just reference David Jaramillo in the comments. You can go online. It's that easy. And just said notes underneath the notes, you put that you want it all to go to the David Jaramillo family or fund with his name is enough.
Okay.
Devin Jaramillo.
Perfect. Okay. So what about these championship games? What was that like for you?
Oh, wow. So let's see. Let's have a world championship football game. World. Okay. Well, maybe national in our American world. And we're going to have it right here, right? It's going to be great. And then, let's make it a home team, University of Miami. Yay, that's great. And then let's have some of the biggest VIPs that you could ever imagine attend this game all at the same time. It was really like, wow. Just think about that. We have all the threats and issues and, concerns that you can have. And then you're going to add that with, our president visiting. We had Secretary of State on scene, more senators and congresspeople that I could ever even begin to rattle off to you. But one of the things that I have set my sights on from early on is that I was not going to allow some of the errors from the past kind of dictate what we were doing now. We went right back to the drawing board a long time ago, and we've been building off of that and having successful events. It's not to be like cocky, because I understand that is something that you never want to fall into the trap to. But I also recognize that you also have to give yourself and your troops, right, the kudos of the good work that they've done.
Yeah.
So but it was great. We had a great time. It was a wonderful event. I think it went off really overall without a hitch. A few little things, but that's to be expected. Now we're neck deep in FIFA preparations for the summer. We have 7 games. Once again, I'm now on the global scale, the global platform. With eyes on us, working not just locally with our partners, federal, state partners, but even with the other 11 host cities, right? Because we're all kind of in this together. Yeah. This is all happening across this country at the same time, and it is a big task. But we're working really hard, and I think we've got a really solid plan in place. And on top of that solid plan, we're also fluid. We're going to keep looking at every single day to see how we can do better from one game to the next. That's one of the things that we had to change, right? So here in the United States, for example, we're very used to Super Bowl. Everyone knows the Super Bowl, right? Biggest event. Yeah. We know we've got kind of like a plug and play formula, right? When it comes to the law enforcement side, that you can kind of brush up and touch up and put into place. We've never dealt in this country with soccer fans. We've never dealt with world soccer fans, because, soccer here in America is very different, represented very differently than across the world. And so that's a big piece that we are trying to make sure that our community understands.
Yeah, because that's a whole change of culture, right? There's a whole 100. View that's coming to your town, to your county, that, like you said, that sees soccer completely differently than you or I.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not fanaticism. It's the fan base. Is completely different than anything we're prepared for. So you're right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And culturally for them, I'll give you a great example, because I thought, look, in soccer across the world, it is quite common for them to bring instruments into the stands, right? Yeah. A trombone, a big old drum, huge signs into the stadium. But, we don't allow that here for security purposes, obviously. We recognize that there's some other threats that can come with that kind of behavior. So we have to educate them now. They're coming, and they're gonna act like they would at any other stadium, right? So it's such an important piece that we educate ahead of time. Please don't bring a big drum. We're not going to let you in with it. And then what are you going to do with a big drum? Right? I know that sounds like but that's just a little example of what really the big differences can be and are reflective. And we've got a plan for that, not just us, but 11 other cities. So
just right there. So I'm in Tallahassee. So Florida State football, FAMU football, and then our community college is a big community college too. But you're right, there's a template, and not that football is football, but football is football. So we all kind of know what we're going into, right? But you're right. I mean, this is, and that's what I was kind of touching on the cultural part of it. This is a major shift. This is not the national championship game or the Super Bowl. This is an international event with international cultures, and you probably have to train your staff, your folks, right? Probably have to also understand some of these other cultures too. Even though Miami-Dade is a huge, diverse culture, there's other nuances coming, right?
100%, and also the shift of every game. Right, because every game is going to have its own cultural dynamic. So that's one of the things that I talked about. So, you can plan all 1 year for one Super Bowl, right? But this is literally 7 Super Bowls in my county, while there are 7 to 9 other ones occurring at the same time across this country, the exact same times.
Yeah.
And there's no downtime. There's so many activities between these events, fan fest areas and, sponsored watch parties and things like that are all going to happen and affect our county as well when it comes to the safety and security. So yeah, it's a big task, but we, like I said, we've been working and preparing for a long time, and I think we have a good solid plan. We'll continue to kind of work and tweak on it as much as we possibly can, and be fluid to adapt. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 rabbit holes. I'm dating myself, but a long time ago there was Major Ed. Is it Kaniva?
Kaniva, yes.
Yeah, so he was real big into SWAT. I'd been to a bunch of training in Miami-Dade, and Ed did that. He did a lot of special event planning, dignitary protection, and things like that. So going back to something you said early in this episode is you guys do lead the way, and you do lead the way. And a lot of people come to you and go, hey, how did you do that? And I imagine you're going to have the same thing when this is all said and done. You're probably going to have global visitors going, how do we do this?
Yeah. So 100% correct. And so Ed and I came kind of up the ranks together. So I know Ed very, very well. Yeah. I'll have to mention that he's referenced in this podcast. He'll love it. Yeah.
Hey, listen, so, he was a quiet badass from what I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And he, so yes, one of the things I think that law enforcement that we always have to find a way to do better, right? Is so after action plans are great, right? They're wonderful. But they mean nothing if you don't share the information. So we're kind of like, we follow the rule, get the after action done, and then it gets put in a shelf or a file in a computer somewhere. And that's not the point of an after action. Right. It is really about the sharing and the information and having those conversations so that we can all learn. And it doesn't just have to be an internal learn, right?
Right.
So yeah, I look forward to that. And I'll tell you what else. Another global event that's coming my way. December, I've got G20 coming here.
I forgot about that.
County. Yeah. So, that's another. So that's over 30 heads of state worldwide coming right here to spend several days. So that's another, big event that will literally. So that's a summer, and then we'll pivot, and 6 months later.
Oh my God! Yeah, hey, talk about diverse events. I mean, so global fans to global security to global.
Yes.
All the layers of security, heads of state that have to talk. And I mean, you could just have a podcast on what radio channels do you work on with there,
I know. So. I know. I'll tell you. And so G20 for us is kind of a newer, right? We've done some other kind of world platforms type stuff, but it's been a while. But it's also a different, the country is in a different place. The world is in a different place, right? Politically. And we can't ignore that fact. We can't act like, we're just going to treat it like we did, back in the 80s or the 90s. No, it isn't. And so, it's a key piece. So again, while we're still trying to take those toddler steps of becoming an office of the sheriff, all this is going on. Yeah. So I'm super proud. It is a perfect example of what I tell you, that I'm so proud of what we've been able to accomplish year one. But the work, there's so much more work that needs to happen still. Yeah. And I look forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. You guys are up for it. Let me ask you my second rabbit hole question.
Okay.
So when you have an international event like the soccer or G20 or the national championship game, for our listeners, where does some of the funding come from for all the staffing you provide? So is it UASC
That's a
money?
great
Is it from the
question.
federal government? The local communities chip in because they're benefiting from visitors. How does that work for you?
So it is an actually all of the above. You just hit on all of them, but it really
Okay.
does depend the event. So let's talk about FIFA, for example. FIFA does have local funding, right? From the county. They supported it because it is an economic boost to our county, to put us on the world stage, right? Obviously, with that said, I, as a sheriff, have to make sure that when I'm asking for my budget, right, that I'm taking this into account. So we've asked for extra funds, not just here locally, but at the state level as well as the federal level, right? Because obviously, the big beautiful bill did encompass some funding for all of the host cities, as well as some other security stuff that honestly we as a country need to really be looking at. I mean, if we talk what's really concerning, we all know the big bad D word, right? Drones and mitigating them. So that's part of that whole rollout. And technology can be very expensive, right? So you have to find those funding sources. For me, that's just an example of FIFA. Now it's going to look different for a championship football game. That's yes, it's colleges and university, but it is a profit organization, right? So they're going to pay for the security, for a lot of that security. But that isn't to say that we're not doing some in-kind services as well to help
Sure.
support it, usually on the intelligence and the backup, right? So the everyday, right, the deputies that are patrolling or in the parking lot and doing traffic and things like that, they're going to be covered. But we work in tandem also with our Hard Rock Stadium, right? A lot of these events are occurring in the exact same stadium that we work so closely with our special events, to ensure that we have these systems in place, to ensure that should something change at the last minute, I know exactly how I'm going to pivot to get it done,
Yeah.
because that's just our reality. So,
And we'll be right back. Every day you put your life on the line to protect and serve. Who's protecting you? United Badges Insurance Services operates as a dedicated resource for the first responder public safety community. Serving thousands of first responders, United Badges offers a wide range of products including commercial insurance, group accident and health insurance, and personal insurance such as auto, home, renters, rental properties, vacation properties, boat, motorcycle, RVs, flood, and umbrella. United Badges serves active and retired public safety personnel, public safety agencies, public safety associations, public safety support businesses, and public safety families and friends. Experience the United Badges difference. Call 800-566-5990 or visit unitedbadges.com to request your free insurance quote today. United Badges Insurance Services is a proud strategic partner of the Florida Deputy Sheriff's Association. Applicants are individually underwritten by each respective insurance carrier and subject to insurance policy terms and conditions. Not available in all states. Promotional material for descriptive purposes only. Now back to the show. I go back to the new office of the sheriff and all the money that must funnel now through you in your office.
mm-hmm.
So again, what a different change, because before it would have been the county, right?
Yes.
And now you, not only do you need to know about this, but you have to recruit a staff that can also handle all these funding resources and disbursements. And then how do you reconcile the books and go, we use the money for these things?
Do you want a job to help me in this transition?
I do.
You're absolutely hitting.
I would love to come help you. I would love to spend a week with you and Chris.
This is literally the challenges that I'm facing every day. So, like, I have a procurement unit, right? We've had, because we're a large agency, even when we were just a department. But now they have to be able to do this all on their own, right? And they have to learn. They have to get processes in place. They have to have the proper staffing to get. Imagine buying reams of paper for an agency that's 5,000 people.
Yeah.
It is big. And I know that sounds silly, a little thing, but yes, these are some of the steps that we've had to learn along the way. Where do I begin? Culture has to change, staffing has to change, process has to change. And more than anything, it's the fact that every single one of the layers that we just talked about, they need to come at their job now from the office of the sheriff's perspective, the image of who their elected leader is, because we didn't have to worry about all that before.
That's right.
And it's huge. It's huge.
And they also say new levels bring new devils. So, you also, And
Yeah,
again,
I like
obviously,
that.
I'm nerding out on you, and I'm sorry, Sheriff, but from a process improvement perspective, you also have you have a group of people that watch the watchers. So you have to have staff inspectors and these other people that come in and be like, are we following the best practices? Do we need to change the practice, or do we need to change the policy? And there's got to be a constant review of these things. And that's
Yeah,
that's another thing that a lot of people never think about is all the.
yeah,
It's not just you have money coming in and going out. You have processes that need to be surveyed and make
yes,
sure they're doing the
yeah.
right thing. That's a whole nother
Yes.
level. So
Right. And see and if we don't get those processes correct now, right, it just it's exponential. The problems become exponential after the fact.
yeah,
And so yeah, so it's such a key piece in how we establish this, baby office of the sheriff for our future. So that, this county can really embrace the power of the office of the sheriff in a way where they're really going to see direct impact in their lives
yeah,
when it comes to and look, that was a big difference. So people can say to me, well, how was it different? You got your budget from the county before. Yes, I did, you see, but before they managed my budget. If I said I needed X amount of dollars for something, they could say, well, that's nice, we're giving you Y, and live with it. But they don't get to do that now. Once I am able to lock down that budget, I'm able to have more flexibility. We all know that in our own personal budgets, you are flexible, right? Maybe
yeah,
this month you went out more, so you spent a little more, but next month you buckle it down. Having that flexibility allows me to really have a lot of cost savings. And in cost savings is where I can now flip it over to really push forward so many of the things that we needed to advance in, because there were a lot of places that we were just really far behind. And what do I mean? Technology, AI, equipment, some training, facilities. Like our training bureau needs updating. It's outdated, right? It just needs to be a safe, secure environment to be able to train my deputies. Um, Understanding that we're a regional asset, literally, right now we happen to have, I think, the only functioning range in the county, just because some of the other outdoor ranges were down for one reason or another. So that means that I'm supporting my other municipalities. I'm supporting our colleges, right, that are putting recruits through the basic law enforcement classes. This is all important work that has to be done, right? This is
yeah,
the future of our profession. And so, yeah, lots of work to do.
yeah. And for the listeners, your budget is about the size of the budget of the country or the nation of Belize, Barbados, Iceland, Fiji, Jamaica. So
Yeah,
that's a staggering budget. And so anyway, enough
I
about the
know.
money. It's just
But you're right. Sometimes I think people say, do you recognize? And I guess for me, I say, sometimes, you talk about the rabbit hole. I don't go down that rabbit hole.
yeah,
Because the truth is that I had been a high level executive in my agency for even before becoming sheriff, right? So I was already accustomed to dealing with that budget, right? And how to spend it correctly and how to, move it around and do what I needed to do with it internally. Whatever piece was mine, now it's all mine. Right. So that's
yeah,
how I look at it. I try not to go down that rabbit hole, because I think if any person who from the outside in looks at this can say that's so it's overwhelming. Like, it's not just the responsibility of the safety and security, but just like, don't mess this up.
yeah.
You affect so many lives. And so, yeah, but again, that is my motivation.
And that's why
I
you have the fantastic staff you have. Your job's
Yeah.
not to know all the answers. Your job's to know all the questions, and that's why you have
Yes.
such a great staff.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. And make sure that they've got what they need so they can do their job,
that's right.
right?
Yeah,
Isn't that what we do?
yeah,
We make sure that our good people have what they need to get the job done.
yeah.
So,
So, also for our listeners, you guys became members of the Florida Deputy Sheriff's Association this
yes,
year.
we
So
did.
you became the largest, well, you're the largest county to become that, and it's just
Yeah.
a huge deal for us at FDSA, and I hope for your deputies' employees too, because we've received
Yes.
lots of phone calls about benefits and when a deputy gets into a line of duty incident and they need legal representation, we've gotten lots of phone calls about that. We're glad to help and have been talking again with your undersheriff with Chris and other folks about bringing some free training down there in between your special events.
Yes.
So we're so
Yeah.
thankful that you joined us.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Honestly, it was such a blessing. So Chris and I kind of remember, I don't know if he shared this with you, but the conversation that he and I had, right, about it. And it was kind of like, hey, now we had both been exposed to and knew what it was, right? But
yeah,
we had so much going on and whatever. So I think the conversation happened a little bit, a few months after I was sworn in. And it was more like, hey, what do you think about? I was like, yes, There's no question. It's a no-brainer. Let's just figure out how to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I laughed because it was probably the shortest conversation meeting on a decision we have ever had. It was just like, it's a no-brainer. We knew. And why? Because taking care of our people, it is the priority for myself, for my undersheriff. And how do we not bring a wonderful benefit to them that they can use, that helps support them as individuals, it helps support their families, God forbid anything happens. Yeah. How often does a sheriff get to do that for all of their sworn, in a moment?
Yeah.
So thank you. And you guys were great. You stepped right into it. And I can't even imagine the calls that you were getting, because we are a large agency. I think people, when you think about that, sworn 3,200 sworn deputies right now. And I know what it meant to them. And I think we probably put you to the test immediately.
You did? Yeah. So to go back to that lifelong learning, we all had to step up to the plate real quick because of the tone and tenor of what happens down there. So, and again, your sheriff's office, I think LA County Sheriff's Office might be bigger, but not by much.
I think I was told by Major County Sheriffs of America that I may be the fourth.
I think you're right.
In the country.
Yeah, maybe Houston, Cook County, Chicago. Yeah.
Apples to apples, because I don't have corrections. I don't have detention,
which is a blessing.
And I don't have fire, and I don't have medical examiner, which some sheriff's office actually do.
Yeah.
Not so much, I don't know, here in Florida, but across the country. So, so they, kind of try to make it apples to apples when they compare. So they told me that I'm probably the fourth in the country.
Yeah. Hey, to your point, Sheriff, you have a neighbor, a couple of counties north of you that the sheriff does have. They have everything related to public safety, and that's not normal. Because that's a whole different nuance. But if you take apples to apples, you're a big deal.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you're looking forward to, professionally, and then from you as an individual, you professionally, and then for the organization for what's left of the year? I mean, the year's already cranking by. It's almost March.
I know. Crazy, right? Crazy. So theme for me this year is safety, security, and service.
Okay.
Trying to really drill down to the deputy level that this is who we are and this is what we do. We try to prevent bad things from happening. We respond and handle appropriately the things if they go bad. And we do that with service, professionalism, and integrity, and all the things that we all know, right? Because we led this podcast, which was great, by the way, with NA. And what that means is that we are professional law enforcement people. And so that's been kind of like the theme that I pushed out to the deputies for this year that I really want them to focus on. For me, technology, right? I need to elevate us and get us to where we need to be so that we're able to utilize, technology more efficiently and clear some stuff off deputies' plates so that they can do more, hands-on and kind of the work that we should all be doing more of, right? Yeah. Talking to people, right? Instead of writing reports, that kind of a thing.
So safety, security, and service.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. That's the theme.
Okay.
In fact, may I share something with you?
Oh, yes, ma'am, please.
I think you can. Oh, well, first I'll clear it, all my email notifications so that you can see it. Clear. Okay. So this is my screensaver here. There it is. Can you see it?
I do. I love that. Yeah.
It
just went dark. Yeah, there it is.
So the reason I push that out to everybody, it's your choice if you'd like it to make your wallpaper on your phone or on your desktop, because I want everyone to see it every single day, right? As you're doing your business every single day, know that these are some of the why are we here and what are we doing? I think these are important messages that, especially again, as we transition to kind of get people thinking in the office of the sheriff.
Yeah. So yes, and you just don't know. You just warmed up my heart as I do some consulting around the state too, and it's super important that you have a vision and your folks know what the vision is, and the fact that you have that and you're pushing that out and the people are buying into it. I mean, that is critical for an agency's success. And
yes, it is. It is.
I've had some guests on here. We talked about that very thing, and then there's some examples in Florida. And I'm not naming names. I'm not going to name organizations where CEOs don't have a vision, and then they wonder why their agency has a lot of mission creep, or they have a lot of leadership drift because nobody knows what the boss wants. And then when you
Yeah.
ask the boss, hey, what's important to you? He or she they can't even name 5 things that are important to them. That's a
Yeah.
failure. So
Yeah.
again, super proud of you. That's a big deal.
Thank you.
That's a big
Thank you
deal.
very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And and you're absolutely right. And it's not perfect. Just so we're clear, understanding that even for me, sometimes I get frustrated, right? Because I feel like I'm trying to get that message out. But like sometimes I'm very good at getting it out to the deputy level, right? The troops on the ground, right? But then somewhere in the middle is where
Yeah.
the message gets muddy, and I'm still finding ways of how to better communicate, embracing social media, embracing internal messaging through technology, right? Because what can I tell you, one of the biggest surprises of being a sheriff, and the message that I got back from the troops was they want to see more of me. They want to see more of me. But again, remembering huge county, lots of deputies. So, and plus, everything else that you're doing along the way. And so it's a great thing that they want to see me, right?
Yeah.
But then it is challenging and it's hard. And so I thought, okay, how can I be innovative and communicate with them, even though I'm not physically? So one of the things that I try to do is get messaging out through videos, right?
Yeah.
Just send a video so they could hear it from me. They could hear it from my voice. And so that's been kind of cool. Like I never would have thought I'd be doing video messaging to the troops, but I'll do it, if I'm able to make that connection. But yeah, so I was surprised. I really was. They're like, they want me out there more than obviously they get to see me on the news like everybody else. And I guess they're like, wait a minute, come to roll call and come to the districts and so forth. And
it matters. The only way you can really lead somebody is to know somebody. Know how you know somebody is to work beside somebody. So for them to see you, it is a big deal. And going back to Don Henley, we're all looking for a shepherd, and they see it in you, and you're coming back to the troops, and you're going, hey, I'm with you. But right now you're going so fast. At some point, you do have to take a deep breath and go, hey, I need a day or two for my mental health, and then you rely on your staff to be there too. But
thank you for that, because I tell you, I had one day I'm like, hey, my calendar's blocked out to, my executive assistant. She was like, yeah, we did that. I'm like, what do you mean you did that? Like, you need a day off, boss. You literally have gone 22 days straight at either an event or a meeting or something. And I was like, wow, okay, all right, thank you. But you're absolutely right. Sometimes, especially with A-type personalities, right? We tend to be a little bit harder on ourselves. But I do it with love. I love what I do. But you're right. You have to fill your own. You have to rest. I mean, even for me, like I see the difference when I come back. You have one day of family time and downtime or whatever, and you come back to the office. You're like, okay, let's go. I'm ready. And we all need that.
And hey, hence the name of the podcast, Tactical Pause.
Yes.
So you have to. That our name came from when the whole de-escalation model came back. It's the same stuff we did in the 90s. Now it's been canned. It has a new name, and it was pushed out by PERF as de-escalation. And when somebody goes, hey, what is that? And you're like, hey, we're taking a tactical pause here, man. I mean, there's a suicidal person in their home committing no crime who's only a threat to themselves. Why are we going to kick in the door and spray gas and go in there and risk shooting and killing that person who needs help or getting one of us killed? So let's take a pause. And now I've applied that to most things in my life, because if you just take a breath for a second, reevaluate, you at least have some clarity moving forward with your next decision. So and I'm super proud of your staff, because they recognize that, because if you're fried, it's going to show in all that you do.
Yes. And, we unfortunately had a lot of what I called, internal trauma as well. We had our own issues that affected all of our deputies. And there are lessons that we have to learn from, right? You can't ignore them. You can't ignore them, because that's where the problems surface. So, but I'm happy. I think we've definitely taken a lot of strides to do just that. Work on the wellness for the deputies, give them more options. Are you familiar with EMDS? EMDS is a brain sound. So it helps with stress and
are you guys doing that?
For anybody who does. Yes.
I didn't know that.
Here.
Okay.
So we brought it. We were able to work with our local representative, and because there was some state funding for it, and we got it here. And I was the first one. After I introduced it to everybody, I volunteered and I did it. And I cannot tell you, it was fantastic. I mean, I started sleeping better almost immediately, and I cannot talk about the benefits enough. My personal experience, but to hear like every time I'd go and be like, I'd try to get intel, how's it going? Are you guys getting booked? And they were like, no, we have to extend. We have so many people that want it. And I think that for us in law enforcement, right, it's always we don't do that. We don't do that. Oh, well, maybe we do that. And then once you get a few people, they're like, wait a minute, this is okay. We can do this, and we can ask for help, and we can get help. And everybody's help looks different. Doesn't all have to look the same, right?
Right.
For some people, it could be therapy, but from others, they need to get involved in a sport or a nonprofit organization that fuels their bucket. But these are all still great answers, right, to help us handle this job better and thus serve our community better.
Yeah.
So it's been very cool.
I think one of our first 5 podcasts was about sensory therapy. With truthfully, it was my personal counselor. I had her come on and talk about sensory therapy because it's so important. So kudos to you for doing that. You talked about drones and technology for a second. So 2 things is George Pereira still? Is he still there? Did he retire?
Yes.
Is he getting promoted?
Yes,
What's going on with George?
No, George is still here with us.
Okay, good.
He talked about retiring for a while, but I think I kind of talked him out of it. George has George Pereira, for those of you who don't know, is one of my majors. He currently oversees my cyber crimes unit.
Yeah.
And the truth is that I've got a lot of work to do in that arena.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to having him help me spearhead that growth.
Good.
So we've been able to lead in a lot of that kind of investigation and technology, but I really want to take us to another level, and I think George is the guy to help me get there. So we're going to be expanding that. You're going to be looking out for some good things to come.
Good.
To the state of Florida.
So again, let me brag on you, George, and your agency again. So, maybe it was 2 years ago. Again, I'm in the Panhandle. Sheriff McNeil in Leon County started looking at AI, cyber crimes, and things like that. And there's not a lot of, at the time, there was not a lot of people that knew much about it. So I good networking, like the things we learned at the NA, as I reached out and found George. And I said, hey, would you be willing to do a class for dummies, make it cop-proof, and come tell us up here what this stuff means? And George has visited, I think him and Bridget have done 4 or 5 classes for us, and everybody that comes in there, their head is spinning when they walk out because of all the things that are happening that are criminal, and then also the resources that your team provides them. They go, hey, look at doing it this way, look at doing it that way. Amazing.
That's exactly correct. And so we talked about, right, the prevention side, right?
Yeah.
If this is technology is the way, if this is where everything is headed, right? And every one of us has seen, the reports of the Bitcoin hacking into your account and stealing this stuff, or also the cons, right? You get the emails or the text that says, hey, if you don't, do this, we're going to, release your naked pictures or something.
Yeah.
This is new crime. And so we in law enforcement as a profession have to be able to get ahead of it. And so we need to start thinking we should be always thinking outside of the box. And for me, that cyberspace is exactly where we need to be paying attention.
Yeah. And you talked about drones. So there's, most people know, there's the drones are almost like the scales of liberty or scales of justice, right? There's some really good things that can be done with drones, and there's some really nefarious things that can be done with drones as well. So where's the balance? And I'm sure you guys are working on that as well.
Yeah. So, probably the biggest threat that we have right now, is the drones and what could happen, because just like you said, bad guys with a drone could do a lot of bad things. But so we need to be able to get ahead of it. We need to be able to understand how and what space writing legislation, which we recently were able to get something through at the federal level to help us with that, right? Because there's some rules that were tying the hands of local law enforcement when it came to protecting the community from drone activity. Major events, obviously, with so many coming up, that's another key piece why I need to really be clear on what I can and can't do with drones and how to do it. So it's costly, right?
Yeah.
Technology can be. It's new technology, and policy. You have to have the rules in place to make sure that we do it in the most safe and effective manner, right? If we're going to take down a drone because we believe it's being manipulated by a bad actor, then we better know how we're taking it down, where we're taking it down, and that you're not causing more damage when you take it down than what could have happened. These are all things that have to be decided in seconds. right?
Seconds. Yeah.
The speed of a drone, seconds. So AI becomes a part of that decision-making process. And that's not necessarily something that many people are comfortable with, right?
Yeah.
So again, these are all questions and processes that we're working out now.
Yeah.
There are no full answers. We have some places, some policies in place right now, but most of it is working with our federal partners because they're the ones that really have the authority right now. As after we got the legislation, now we're working on being able to have it ourselves. So it's a lot, but we're working on it. But it's a big piece. I think this is something that really affects all of us in law enforcement across this country.
Yes. So there's a new phrase in the lexicon. It's called drones as first responders. So what we're seeing now is more and more law enforcement agencies that are being creative and harnessing the power of a drone to something as simple as a car crash on 95. If there can be a drone overhead, then do we have a hazmat? Do we have a rollover? What do we have? And you have real-time eyes on. Then there's so many other sophisticated things that are being done with drones as well. And Sheriff, on a side note, Congressman Jimmy Patronis was on our podcast last week. And this is one of the things we talked about, too. Again, your partnership, not just with Miami-Dade County, not with just South Florida, but at the state of Florida and nationally. So one of the things that Congressman Patronis talked about, too, was technology and drones and things like that. We're moving forward. So
yes, 100%. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And that is, the perfect example. This was an important piece. And so being able to speak to it as one of the largest counties in the country at the federal level, obviously is impactful and helpful. And so, again, another key piece why I am an advocate, that we should be professional law enforcement people first, right? Because that's how we can bring forth really the priorities and the needs for our community when it comes to public safety.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Well, Sheriff, as we close out, what would you like to leave the listeners with? What's a key piece?
First, I want to say thank you. If I may.
Thank you.
I have really felt the love from the Florida Sheriff's Association and my other law enforcement professionals across the state. I am the new kid on the block, right? When it comes to being a new sheriff and learning, and I cannot tell you how many people have just opened their hearts and and said, "Call me, you need anything, piece of advice." Sometimes even just having a conversation. And I'm very grateful to all of them. So I'm going to say thank you first and foremost, but I'll just continue to, chip away at the mountain and get to that top. And I look forward to it. I look forward to our continued new challenges.
Thank you for listening to The Tactical Pause, the official podcast of the Florida Deputy Sheriff's Association. FDSA proudly serves over 25,000 deputy sheriffs across the state with legal benefits, vital training, and financial assistance in times of need. You can listen to previous episodes at fldeputysheriffs.org or wherever you get your podcasts. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave us a review and encourage your friends, coworkers, and those in the law enforcement community to listen as well. To learn more about the Florida Deputy Sheriff's Association and how we serve those who serve, visit our website at fldeputysheriffs.org.